Hey Queen, welcome back to this week's video, which I am sharing all around what book I am reading this week as part of my 52-week personal development challenge. So if you are new here, I essentially set myself the intention at the beginning of January that I would read a personal development a week throughout 2024 to up-level all elements of my life, business, romance, health, well-being, all of the things. So I think we're on week 9 now. So this week I was reading 1 Million Followers, which was a book that came to me via an Instagram ad, actually, which makes sense when you read the book. And it's written by Brendan Kane as just one of my business growth books, which, was okay. I read it. I remember reading it first of all. So as part of this challenge, some of the books are like brand new to me. Some are ones that I'm revisiting. And what I found that anything that relates to social media, it's just instantly dated as soon as it's printed. So it isn't necessarily something that I would go away and buy now. But when I first bought it a couple of years ago via an Instagram ad, it made sense. And it certainly helped to just kind of understand a little bit as to how social media works and understand that essentially it is a tool there to be monetized, and the only people that really make money, whether they have a big audience or not, is if they have this intentionality behind their content that they're creating, behind where they are positioning themselves and all of the things. But essentially how this guy, the whole book premise or promise, is on the fact that you can build 1 million followers in 30 days on Instagram. Now the reality is you cannot do it organically. You have to do it through paid traffic. So I remember reading it the first time and feeling like massively deflated, because I was like, oh, okay, if you're not yet ready to invest in either Facebook ads or influencer partnerships or what else are there, like boosted posts and getting yourself like on those themed pages where you can pay to put your content on them, then it's probably not going to, it's going to kind of make you feel a bit disappointed, as I was the first time I read it, because I wasn't at that stage. And that's essentially the whole premise, is around like paying for traffic to build your following very quickly. And obviously there's some great like foundational elements that you need to have in place in any situation, whether you're going to build your audience organically. And I always think there's 3 ways to build traffic online, build an audience. You either build it, borrow it, or buy it. And it makes sense if you've got a brand that you want to get out there to market very quickly, that you would buy that, and that would be through paid traffic. You can also build it organically, or you can borrow it from other people through strategic collaborations, which is what I've always done, and that's helped me to get a lot of traction in my business without necessarily having an audience size that so it makes sense, that reflects that. But definitely it's around like fine-tuning your message, ensuring that you know who your ideal client is, creating shareable content. So it's like those smart little hacks that will potentially give you more followers, but doesn't necessarily give you a buying audience. I'm not 100% sure that it does. So when I reread this, it just reminded me that actually this is everything that I don't really believe in. When it comes to social media growth, I think it's great to have that many eyes if you want a business that's really passive, that relies on a lot of volume coming into your business. But if you want to build something that's heart-led, where you are, want to be more intentional with who's coming in and create your community and all of the things, then that's not really going to help you necessarily. It's like cheap growth hacks that probably don't even work anymore. Because I think that the average buyer is more discerning. I think buyer psychology has moved on since that book was written, but I think it was very good for its time, which I think was around like 2017. So bit of that really. I mean, read it anyway, because it is well written, and it might give you some helpful hints. Now moving on to this week, what I'm going to be looking at is a book that came to me from a recommendation from another women in business networking group that I'm part of, which is written by Daniel Priestley, who is apparently a big deal. And the book is Key Person of Influence. So I'm listening to that on Audible. The 5-step method to becoming one of the most highly valued and highly paid people in your industry. So I'm super excited to read this, listen to this, sorry. But having got like a chapter or 2 in this morning on School Run, what I have to say, which instantly just turns me off as a consumer, is the fact that the person that's written the book has not recorded the audiobook. So there's a bit of a disconnect, I think. When they do that, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, it's really not that much money to get a recording studio and record your own book. That's what I'm going to be doing when my audiobook comes out later this year. I'm actively looking for studios so that I can be the voice of my book, because they've given it to a guy who sounds like a fiction writer. So, or like a author. So it doesn't sound like a personal development book. It's not activating. It's not inspiring. There's no like real conviction or entertainment value in listening to it. It just sounds like somebody that's just reading the book. And it just feels very contrived, and it's not a great listening experience so far. So I'm trying to go past that. And I've heard this from friends who have said that they don't listen to audiobooks because they don't want to be let down by listening to somebody who, you know, perhaps doesn't match up with what their expectations are in their head. So that's like a cautionary tale if you are listening to the books on Audible versus reading it, is that you don't really get a sense of the writer's intention, energy, thoughts, passion, and all of the things when it's read by somebody else. So yeah, so I'm kind of sitting on the fence. I'm trying to hold back, not be too judgmental, but so far that's kind of instantly put up a bit of a barrier for me because it doesn't feel very engaging right now. But I'm only a chapter in, so I am sure that it will, you know, add value because it was recommended to me. So make sure you come back next week for all of the exciting updates. And if you are a woman who really is like, you know, into your personal development, you love books, you love up leveling all elements of your life, then please make sure you subscribe so that you can follow along. We can compare notes. You can tell me what you think. I can keep you accountable to moving on and implementing the steps in the books as well, because that's part of the journey. So already I'm sitting here with my water. I'm still continuing with my biohacking habits from the Aggie Lau book that I read at the beginning of the year. I'm still like practicing what I preach with the money mindset work that I've been doing. And I'm really embedding the learning as I go, taking what I need and leaving what I don't. And so far, there's like 2 books that are just like pointless. So equally, you can go back if you want an honest review of those books too and the ones to avoid. Then I'd love for you to join me on this journey. Please subscribe. Let me know your recommendations in the comments. And let's do this together, ladies. Let's all level up together.